CollegauCymru, the Tydfil Bridgen, ColegauCymru, Jan Hiscox, Leslie Robbins, Deborah Marshall, Alistair Southcott as well.
Good afternoon, everyone. This project was undertaken as a collaborative venture with the 4 participating colleges, and its rationale and aim was based on quality improvement priorities identified through each of the colleges' self-assessment. They were to establish greater stretch and challenge in the teaching and learning dynamic for all learners, not just the gifted and talented, to enhance learners' numeracy skills and to improve the effectiveness of assessment practice. A further and I think really important aim was to establish closer links between the 4 colleges based on the collaborative work that we were already doing being extended further to cover teaching, learning and assessment. In short, really, what we want to do is create a professional learning community. Our work together enabled us to produce the following resources, and we have hosted these on our Leading Learning website, ready for sharing, and I'm going to hand over now to Leslie to talk about videos.
One of the main outcomes that we wanted for the project was to produce some video clips to use with teachers to demonstrate with them how Marzano's stretch and challenge techniques could be embedded in a variety of different vocational contexts. Finding participants was interesting, and this is where our teaching and learning mentors came in, and they worked closely with staff on supported experiments and then pressurised them gently to take part in being filmed. It really was a collaborative effort. The aim was to get 4 video clips from each of the different participating institutions. We actually ended up with more than that. It was nowhere near as easy as we imagined it would be. Not only was it difficult to find willing participants, but the actual editing and production of video clips caused us far more challenges than we anticipated. Another element of our project was to develop a numeracy toolkit to support tutors to embed and to develop learners' numeracy skills. We had substantial contribution to the development of the toolkit from Gower College Swansea, which I'm grateful, and I know Peter sat up there, so thank you, Peter. We have lecturers who are uncomfortable in embedding numeracy within their main vocational areas. They're non-numeracy specialists, and they find it difficult to spot opportunities to embed numeracy in their assignments and their assessments. So what the toolkit aimed to do was to actually show where numeracy is connected to everyday activities, to show where learning areas are currently embedding numeracy within their curriculum. The toolkit is available in an e-booklet format, so it can be easily put onto the staff intranet site, so it's easy to access. The booklet has a brief introduction, and then there's an opportunity for tutors to review their own numeracy skills. There's some explanations on whole numbers, decimals, fractions, percentages, common measures, shape and space, and handling data. And then finally, at the end of the booklet, you've got those examples where learning areas are currently embedding numeracy within their curriculum. Thank you.
For our supported experiments, we decided to explore assessment for learning, as many others you have today. We felt that focusing on questioning techniques, peer and self-assessment and feedback would be a means of attempting to stretch and challenge our learners with the ultimate aim of raising levels of attainment. So we launched the project with a training event that every member of the teaching staff attended. And we also produced an assessment for learning toolkit, both of which explored the pedagogy surrounding assessment for learning, as well as providing some practical tips and tricks as to how people might implement them in their classroom. Following that training event, 8 members of staff volunteered to get involved with the project, 4 of whom were filmed. And unlike other members of the team here today who've spoken about their staff being reluctant to be filmed. I think we must have a large contingent of show-offs in Merthyr, because all 8 were more than prepared to be filmed. In fact, when I told them only 4 would be, there were mutterings about, in order to make it fair, we should audition, and there was a certain amount of bickering. Anyway, 4 were filmed. We ran the project for 1 term. I wanted to keep it short and sharp just to make it manageable and measurable. The response at the end of the project was overwhelmingly positive, with staff reporting raised levels of motivation and confidence. But I think more importantly, they felt that their learners were more aware of where they were in their learning and more especially what they needed to do to improve. They all said that they wanted to continue with the experiments to the end of the academic year and to continue again in September. And they also planned to discuss the experiments in their course teams in order to bring their colleagues on board and therefore to disseminate their good practice on a college-wide basis. The college has decided to adopt the framework and to identify a theme, if you like, a theme of teaching and learning per term that we encourage staff to experiment with and then to report back so we can look at how successful it was, again with a view to disseminating across college. So for us, the project's been very successful. It's brought the focus to bear on the fundamentals of what we do, which of course is teaching and learning. Thank you.
Okay, so all the resources that we've described in our presentation have now been uploaded onto the Project Leading Learning website, and we also have the ability to access that via a smartphone app. We intend really in the future to add new, creative and original resources and continue to work together, validating new materials, sharing staff development opportunities and generally expanding our expertise in an informed way, looking back at the evaluations that we've done on the inputs in the experiment. So the next steps, whilst this is the formal conclusion of the project, we don't see it as that. We see it as a really big beginning of a sharing culture, not just between the participant colleges, but using the Leading Learning website as a platform, moving on to share and to develop in terms of the wider sector. So in conclusion, thank you for listening to our input. Thank you very much indeed.